I was born in the UK to British and Australian parents and migrated to Australia when I was young. So I knew when I first ran for Parliament that I needed to renounce my citizenship. But of course, it's not so cut and dried with other members of Parliament who have inherited citizenship that they weren't aware of. And I think that's where the problem has arisen here.
And the government has really said that, having ignorance is a defence.
Well, that's the argument that they're putting, but that's quite different to the position that the court has taken previously on this. Previously, when the High Court has looked at these matters, it's said that a Member of Parliament has to take all reasonable steps to renounce their citizenship before they become a Member of Parliament. But of course, the government are arguing, how can you take steps to renounce your citizenship when you're not even aware that you're a citizen of another country? So these will be questions that will be looked at by the High Court in the next few days.
Is there a feeling that these 7 will survive?
Look, I really don't know. I think, of course, there's a big question mark about Barnaby Joyce. His is the one that's going to be most critical for the government because the Turnbull government only holds a one-seat majority in the House of Representatives. If they lose that seat, then that could trigger a by-election, and the outcome of that is largely unknown. I think, though, a lot of Australians are really scratching their heads looking at this. I mean, when I was sworn into the Parliament as a senator, I had to swear allegiance to the Queen of the United Kingdom because, of course, Australia is still a constitutional monarchy and part of the Commonwealth. So the idea that we're also asking people to renounce citizenship of another country when we're asking our members of Parliament to swear allegiance to the monarch of the UK seems quite ridiculous to me.
I mean, the big question that many are asking is why not just change the Constitution? Because this is quite unique to Australia.
It is, but the problem is changing the constitution in Australia is a very difficult thing to do. We have a system of referenda, which is the only way in which you can change the constitution, and that requires a majority vote across the country nationally, but also a majority vote in each of the states. And referendums in Australia don't have a very good success rate. So the idea of dealing with this through that mechanism might look appealing from the outside, but it's a pretty difficult thing to do.
So this is likely to go on for the next couple of days. I imagine a very nervous Malcolm Turnbull sitting and waiting to see what this will mean for his government.
Well, that's right. And who would have predicted that things would unravel in this way? I mean, just a few months ago now, one of my former colleagues, Scott Ludlam, announced that he had discovered he was a citizen of New Zealand and resigned from the Parliament. Then another of my colleagues from the Greens, Larissa Waters, did the same. And then that set off this crazy chain reaction where we've had members of Parliament from the Conservative side of politics also embroiled in this, and it's gone all the way up to the Deputy Prime Minister, who had no idea that he was a citizen of New Zealand. So it's been a pretty bizarre few months in Australian politics. In fact, just last year we had members of Parliament also excluded by the High Court who fell foul of other aspects of Section 44, one who was found to be bankrupt and another who had a pecuniary interest in a Commonwealth contract. So really, I think most Australians are having a bit of a crash course in constitutional law.